Welcome, everybody. My name is Nadim. I'm the founder and CEO of Wafeq. Wafeq is an accounting software for SMEs. We serve UAE, Saudi Arabia, and the rest of the GCC. And with me, I have Nupur. Nupur, would you like to introduce yourself real quick?
Thank you so much, Nadim. Yes, hi everyone. I'm founder of Octa, Nupur Mittal. We are an AI agent finance automation platform in the region to help businesses collect money faster.
Amazing. So we picked a topic around the efficiency of the month-end closing. It's a topic that is recurring, obviously, for any accountant that has worked, whether at a company or at an accounting firm, both as software that serve that segment. Myself and Nupur are very familiar with this problem, so we'll discuss it a bit. And then we'll talk a little bit about what can you do to automate part of it. We understand that still, the state of technology cannot fully automate everything, but there's a lot you can already do by using proper solutions. And then we can leave 5 minutes towards the end. We'll answer lots of questions that you might have. If there are any questions at any time, even during the webinar, please ask them and we'll tend to them at the end of this chat. Okay, cool. Okay, so Nupur, can you tell me a little bit about? We're gonna try to keep this really, like casual and kind of like a friendly chat. Um, Myself, I'm kind of familiar with Okta. I would love to know a little bit about which problems you saw at accounting firms that prompted you to build a solution like Okta.
Definitely, Nadim. And I think the one of the key things which a lot of people talk at the month end and they are more skeptical when they are trying to close the books for the month is collections. In my experience, I have seen that collections at a small percentage is where customers are saying that they don't want to pay. But the major problem which is coming is from the process gap. So the main idea is that most of the delays which is happening in that collection journey are due to incorrect invoices being created or some missing purchase order somewhere, or it is stuck in some approval between manager, accountant, CFOs. One of the common things is also there's no structured follow up actually going out and no clear ownership internally. And then the final outcome sometimes comes from the client is that the payer is actually slow. They are not actually reviewing our details. So that's there. So a lot of finance team I've also seen, which actually led us to build Okta also, is that they are hesitant to do a follow up because they feel that it will damage the relationship. I totally get it. No one wants to be that annoying person asking for money. But what I've learned is that if you have a structured way of collecting the money with a structured follow ups, that can actually improve the relationship of that customer with their client, right? When you actually communicate it very politely, clearly, and there is a consistency that removes all that awkwardness. And even from a month end closing, it becomes more predictable and you have a professional way to actually deal with this. The major issue, Nadeem, I felt over here is that there's a lack of visibility and transparency on the entire process, which is happening month on month. And many finance teams, if they have to see on a daily basis, they don't have a real time tracking of what's aging look like. It's always a month end activity to actually figure that out. They don't have a risk scoring of customers to actually differentiate that which customers are good customers versus they need a harder way to figure out those segments, right? So without data, I felt the collection becomes more of a reactive approach where they are actually trying to figure out at later stage versus doing it on a day-to-day activity. And that becomes a key problem. And when you see this at a smaller scale, obviously, if somebody has like a 10, 15 invoices, manual things, Excels will work perfectly. And this, you know it better, right? But imagine a business with 1,000, 1,500 invoices in a month, everything will collapse on that stage.
Mm-hmm. And typically for our attendees who are, I believe most of them are accounting for the role of chasing customers is not typically taken by accounting firms. many accounting firms, they don't want to take that role. They leave it to
Yeah.
the business to do it, right? So that's even more work for the business to manage and things that ideally they want to offload to somebody else. But typically the business owner is the person who owns the relationship with the customer. They're the best person to kind of do that kind of work. In what you've seen, Nupur, have things changed in terms of maybe, accounting firms, once you have an automated accounts receivable solution, do you think there's room for them to kind of offer this as an additional service? They can charge more, and at the same time, the business owner doesn't need to handle this. Are you seeing any kind of shift in terms of clients or accounting firms that adopt an AR automation solution? Are they able to, let's say, upsell or offer more services to their clients? Or do you still see the relationship between the customer and the business owner still owned by the business?
Definitely, Nadim. I think we are seeing the shift that customers who have adopted Okta internally on the accounting firms, first, we are seeing that they are able to save much more time because if they are doing this process of manually following up, manually trying to create invoices on a weekly and a daily basis sometimes, they are saving more than 10 hours for sure in a week. And imagine that's just one client they are saving. If they have 20 clients, that's roughly they can save more than a week of their time itself. So we are definitely seeing one number of hours being saved by the accounting firms. And second, what we are seeing is that even this solution is collaboratively used by their client and the accounting firm. This helps them, the client also knowing what's happening for their collections, where do they stand. They themselves come and sometimes use from that perspective, and accounting firm is able to pass on that work to the business as well once they set up the process, and then now the business can actually work out on the collection part. So on the second part where you are mentioning, has the clients able to use it? Definitely. That's we are seeing the change happening, and they are actually taking more ownership that let us be part of that collection. Let us help you figure that out because it's an important part of the month end closing.
Hmm. How how does can you tell me a little bit more about the importance of um, collections and months ends clothing? I mean, it might be a silly question, but I like to ask silly questions. Why would the business not, let's say, still close their month with unpaid invoices? Like, what's the benefit of course, other than the cash, are there any other benefits? Uh,
Correct. So I think AR is very well connected in knowing the entire business of what it stands at the end of the month, right? A lot of time sales closes the deal and you have revenue what you are expected to get in a month. So a tracking of ARR, revenue recognition, all that is in place because contract gets signed, you know what's the revenue will look like. But you are not aware what the cash flow statement look like at the end of the month. Is this the right cash to actually pay for accounts payable expenses which are happening, right? So your overall business sense check is not there if you don't know how much collection you have done. And that becomes the key thing for the next month also, that whatever you are charging, is this being collected? Is that a realized revenue for you to consider? And how can you improve your expenses then based on it if the money is lower coming on month? So that becomes an important thing. And another thing, DSO, which is your daily sales outstanding, which you have to figure out. That is a very key metrics. If you talk to any CFO or a finance team member, they track this on a monthly basis, and somewhere they actually track it on a weekly basis also. So that becomes a very key check for them to know what's the health check of the business.
hmm. What other metrics other than the DSO have you seen focus on?
I think two more metrics which we have seen our customers actually feeling great about it when they can see a real time value coming out of it is, one is the aging balance. Instead of them building it on Excel sheets and trying to figure out that what happened, I think Nadim Wafeq plays an equally important role on the reconciliation being done on the payments to have the right aging balance. So when the collections happens on Okta and the reconciliation is happening on Wafeq, the entire thing is synced into Okta, and there's a aging balance which is giving them on a real time basis that what is the expected payment coming in from the follow-ups and the customer conversation happening, and what is the month end expectation on the collection coming in. So the aging balance gives them the idea. And secondly is the credit score which we give for every customer. That gives them the idea what is the likelihood that they are going to get paid for this invoice. This also gives them the predictability that even on the second week of the month they can imagine what's the month end look like. So those two, I felt that a lot of accounting firms in our customer base also checking that.
Have you seen in terms of in the UAE, it's kind of hard to the banking system or the infrastructure is
Yeah.
still not really readily available in terms of integrations, open banking, and so on, although it is coming. One of the main issues of delayed payment is just the friction to execute the payment, right? You need to kind of, as a business owner myself, every time I need to make a payment, I need to kind of go to the bank, create the beneficiary, and enter the number, and then submit for approval. For approval for myself, uh,
Yeah.
often. Versus sometimes I just get a payment link and then it's super easy to pay. With just a couple of clicks, my card is autofilled, and that's done. Are you seeing any kind of like shift in terms of using online payments or payment links more often? And if so, is it across invoice sizes or is it mostly on B2C invoices?
So I think Nadim, still there is a caveat that there are big enterprises and big businesses still want to do the bank transfer. So what we have seen as a pattern is that mostly small businesses prefer paying through card. It's much more easier, as you mentioned, that they don't have to figure out adding a beneficiary and then transferring the money. So if you while sending the invoice actually attach a payment link to a small business, they will end up actually paying through card. And second pattern, what we have seen is that any invoices which are less than 10,000 dirhams easily get paid. Even that's a B2B. I'm mostly talking about from the business side, they get paid through card. There's still a pattern that anything above 10,000 dirhams is something people are skeptical on the card payment. They still prefer let's add a beneficiary, even though there is a 1 day delay, they still want to do a bank transfer.
And they're fine for going the 2-3% payment gateway fees for an invoice of 10,000 dirham. Are you seeing resistance to that or not?
I think that's where, Nadeem, we are actually educating a lot of businesses, and that is very key for them to know that sometimes they feel that the 3% they are going to pay on the payment link, when somebody pays on card, it's actually a loss to them. They don't realize that if they don't give that feature of a payment link while paying the invoice, the opportunity cost of getting delayed payment on that is much higher. So if you give a payment link to someone, let's say they give to me, I'm going to pay it today, versus if I need to do a bank transfer, I will be like procrastinating. Okay, let me do it next week. Let me do it next week. And then you end up having a 40 to 55 days delay over there, right? That opportunity cost is a lot than considering a 3%. So that I think is the market is adapting to it now.
Yeah, and that's especially useful actually if you have a high number of invoices, right? Like if you
Correct.
have many customers and many invoices, you're much better off most likely just accepting online payments and paying that 2-3% for your cash flow to improve. Versus if you have one or two invoices a quarter, you might be willing to kind of wait a little bit longer for a bank transfer fee for a bank transfer to come in. Okay, cool. Um, so can you tell me tell us a little bit, Nupur, about the end-to-end workflow that you solve with Okta, and maybe we can like even like do it a quick demo or a short walkthrough of your solution.
Actually, Nadim, that will be great. I think it's more of a show and tell thing that where I can actually demo, and then even all our participants in the call can actually view how that process works. So that gives a more realistic view on that's actually helpful. Let me actually share the screen.
Mm. A reminder to our attendees, please feel free to ask questions. We'll tackle them at the end of the webinar.
Okay, let me know if Nadim, the screen is visible.
Yeah.
All good to go. Okay, awesome. So I'll mostly try to demo, I think, keeping in mind that considering how we can help here on the collection front, the idea here is that how can you automate your day-to-day activity? So one size fits all. I think Nadim, you also know in Wafeq when businesses are using, everyone has a different configuration, different way of doing the invoices, different way of reconciling. So same methodology exists for the agent builder also. So this screen which you see is actually the step one for any company who start using the Okta, that what kind of automation they want, which is very dedicated to their system. We definitely give them some of a quick start that they can come and say if you want to start with the payment reminders, or we just want to send a WhatsApp, or we just want when to create invoices, just we should be reminded of that. So very simple things which they can start with, or they can actually come and write their own automation task which they have in mind, which can solve their day-to-day activities, right? So that is where it comes into play. I'll actually, for the purpose of this, I can actually show you some of the pre-built agents we have. Very simple thing. Where, let's say, Nadim, what we want is that we just want a follow-up with the customer. I'll zoom in. Follow up with the customer on email every Monday. Imagine if you have 100 invoices every Monday to send an email, copy, pasting, figuring out, and sending it. It's a task, and you want that personal touch to come out of it, right? So you can come here, tell the agent that I want that to be done, and then you can also modify that. Okay, after email, also send a WhatsApp over there. What agent will do is that it will create the full workflow for you. And how, and now the next point is how will it know which email ID, what configuration, how to and where to send, what tone should be there in the concept, right? So once you have created the agent builder by doing the conversation, you can do as many agents you want. Now the main thing comes is how can we be connected with Wafeq, right? Because all the data sits in Wafeq. All the invoices, all the customer information, is present in Wafeq. So main thing what they can come is actually connect with Wafeq here. And here we do authorize where they can just enter the OAuth thing which we are connected with Wafeq, or they can also provide the API key, whichever is the easiest way for them to actually do. Once they have connected in from the Wafeq system, all the invoices data will actually flow from Wafeq to Okta. So that's the beauty of it, of this partnership also, that all the data which was there in Wafeq, we actually sync it here. They can define last 1 month, last 3 months, last 1 year, depending on how the collection looks like for them. So once it syncs over here, the main thing is that can the agent which actually build the workflow, you can come and see what kind of follow-ups is going to go to the customer. You can come and change it, because whatever you define the first part of it on agent builder, right, that was a simple prompt I gave every Monday. But you can actually give a very exclusive prompt on saying that let's send 10th of each month account statement, let's send 5 days before reminder. Then the beauty comes is that okay, after few emails you can actually start doing AI calls. You can actually say that let's remind the person on the call and do the conversation with them, so it looks like okay, someone from the team is actually following up what happened. And sometimes you won't believe, Nadim, that there are disputes which are being raised, and that's the reason there's a delay. There was sometimes VAT being wrong mentioned, some product is missing in the invoice, that we all come to know here. Or they can also see that they can send a WhatsApp reminder. So this full workflow helps them to actually define that how and when to reach out to the customer and not just stick to emails. They can actually fine tune it by making sure that there's a combination of call and WhatsApp, which majorly work in this region. So that's where it comes from, the reminder part. Now, when I'm saying that they can actually send, let me actually show you one live case where let me bring it over here for the team to view. So let's say you send this. Um, follow up to the customer. There's your logo added, there's your email which is being crafted out, and then the details which we pull from Wafeq for the invoice with the payment link. So the whole idea is that can they have the payment link of them to pay through card, and as you mentioned, future the open banking will come in, both options built within the pay now. Now, let's say what happens when somebody replies back, I have paid the invoice. Money will reflect by end of day. Now, there's a full workflow which is being triggered, right? If somebody says they have paid the invoice, you don't want to like unnecessary consider them sending another follow up. And with hundreds of invoices, you can't keep track. A lot of time you miss it. Okay, somebody said it's paid. What the beauty is that the system is generated from the AI responses, it understands that response. Now, that was the same in this case. I will actually let me figure out which invoice it was. So, this was invoice 016. If we go into the same invoice 016 here, and if we go into workflow, you will see workflow is disabled by AI. As soon as the customer's response came on that, when they have said it is paid, there's no point chasing the customer next day or few days, right? The system will automatically detect the response and pause the follow-up. So you have surety that okay, system is only chasing people who have not paid. I'm not going to spoil my relationship with the rest of the customers, right? And that's where then reconciliation comes in being synced into Wafeq, and where team can realize that okay, where in the bank statement they actually paid for it, right? I'll take another case, let's say, which is very common case in our scenario. I will actually show you one example. So let's say we have sent the invoice. Customer is asking, can you send the SOA for over here? This is surprisingly I did on my account itself. Can you send me an SOA? You will see that within seconds, system actually send the SOA. This is one of the things whenever you see a vendor is going to make a payment or your client is going to pay, they always ask, can you send me statement of account? Because they have in mind, like, we might have paid it last month, or is it the same invoice which is coming across again? They always ask for SOA. To take out, and this accounting firms can easily relate, to take out an SOA, download it, then send it to customer, easily take their 5 to 10 minutes of time, and then that distracts from the work they are doing. Here, the AI realizes, okay, the customer is asking for SOA to expedite the payment. Let's quickly send the SOA, which is downloaded from Wafeq, attached in the email, and sent across. So these use cases, Nadim, actually helps them to make sure that the collection happens. I'll take a pause. I know there's a lot things going on, but just to give the idea.
That's great. That's very interesting. Well, one of the challenges of automation is handling all the edge cases, right? So I think it looks like, with AI now being super smart, they can really make decisions on their own based on the reply of the customer. Are there any other exceptions that happen that Okta takes care of? Because it's a lot about all these edge cases many times that make a user adopt a software or not.
Definitely. I think that's the reason, Nadeem, the edge cases gives the more trust to the system that, okay, it's going to take care. What we definitely build is a communication platform entirely in the system itself. So if with any customer, there's any conversation happening, let's say over email, same thing which I showed you on email, they can come here and see, okay, system send an email. The customer is asking for SOA. So they are also in line with that, what's happening with the customer. And same thing, they can come and see, okay, if we are sending a WhatsApp reminder, they can see, okay, what's happening with the WhatsApp reminder, what is customer calling. In some of the cases, if let's say there are edge cases which AI doesn't have information, in lot of cases we connect I'll tell you where on the account setup to give the idea for the team, we connect with HubSpot, which is their CRM platform, from where we can fetch contracts and know actually what is being invoiced is correct or not, or there's a discrepancy. Because a lot of times clients might ask and say, when did we sign up to start on 10th of Feb? Wasn't the contract signed to start from 20th of Feb? Or this terms were not discussed in the contract, right? And there's a dispute happening on the invoice. We try to get that information from their CRM platform, whether it's HubSpot, Salesforce, and send that information in the email itself. Now, there could be a scenario where accounting firms, when dealing with the clients, actually don't connect their CRM platform. Now, as AI also have a limited information of what's only present in Wafeq, right? What happens in that case is that we create a task for accounting firms. In our task module, we actually go ahead and create a task for them that you need to actually see the customer is asking for an additional details for which invoices, and you have to reply, because in that case AI doesn't have the information to reply back. So this way they don't get a miss out. If there are 200 invoices, okay, 80 invoices AI respond, but there are 10 invoices where AI doesn't have the information to actually reply back. And then they can come and see and make sure that all the task which is created by AI for them is actually resolved, to make sure that the payment is on time. So yeah.
Got it. Amazing. And I see, as the UAE starts to develop in terms of open banking, Annie was launched. What are some of the things that you think will soon come in terms of automation, specifically for AR automation?
I think a few things, Sadim, which will come on AR automation. You definitely know that e-invoicing is coming in. So I think the idea will come that invoices get created in Wafik. When we are following up with the customers, we have to make sure that the right e-invoices are getting approved from the customer also, because otherwise that will start becoming a bottleneck on the collection part of it. So that is one thing we are seeing. Secondly, as you rightly mentioned, on the payment link, what we have actually started, I'll actually show here one of the scenarios where when you click the payment link, I think the whole idea and the experience is, can you give them a bank transfer functionality, that open banking? Okay, card payment is something you can pay, add card. Today on bank transfer, it's more of just showing the details, right? They cannot actually make the payment. But giving that digitization in the bank transfer will also help them in knowing that, okay, we can do the open banking based bank transfer that can actually improve their collection then. So I think these two things will definitely play a very important role in the next couple of months to come in.
Got it.
I think one quick thing, maybe Nadim, that will actually help on how our customers are using it. I wanted to show it from the agent side as well. This is one of the common flow which we have seen happening in Okta, where a lot of small businesses, especially when they are dealing with contracts being stored in Google Drive. This is one of the customer actually created this workflow. They are fetching those contracts, they are giving the logic of how to create invoices for that contract, and then syncing this into Wafik. Then rest of the details are being considered in Wafik, whereas Okta does the rest of the follow-ups. So that is very common use case. We have seen that we are able to fetch the contract details, send that data to Wafik, rest everything accounting firms is doing in the Wafik, and then the rest of the follow-ups is happening on Okta with the payment link. And then I think in Wafik system, maybe Nadim, if you want to talk about it, that how the reconciliation is happening. Obviously, Okta helped in collection, but at the end, for closing the books, it needs to be reconciled with the payments.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That's great. And so I see you have many integrations, and integrations are really key for automation, right? Most businesses use, at least their accounting software, and then the business software, which is typically the software that generates revenue, whether it's, let's say, Shopify
Yeah.
or Stripe or a POS system, and then maybe two or three software, CRM, marketing, and so on. And you need all of these integrations to give the full context to your agent to be able to take decisions. Awesome. I'm glad you talked about reconciliation. This is obviously a key component of closing your books. Funnily, we still see some companies that don't really do reconciliation, or they do it kind of like offline on the side. Um, Accounting software has, any modern accounting software should give you pretty good reconciliation tools. But now, with more and more automation coming online, banks are starting to have APIs available. Um, you will be able to, plus AI, you will be able to largely automate, what we're seeing, at least 95% of transactions that go through your bank statement. Let me share my screen here. quickly, and I can.
Oh, that's actually good to look at it, Nadim.
Yeah, so reconciliation is we've seen actually funnily. So as you know, we operate in both the UAE and Saudi, right? We've seen the UAE is a lot more mature in terms of reconciling their bank statements versus Saudi is still a lot of the reconciliations happens either on the side or extremely manual, and it's largely based on just checking whether the balances a match, which is already very good, but not necessarily doing reconciliation at the transaction level. Um, One of the automations that are the biggest time saver in terms of reconciliation is connecting your bank account. As Wafeq, we do have a connection directly with Wio. Wio Bank is one of the biggest SME banks now in the UAE. You know, they launched, I think, four years ago, and they've amassed over 100,000 SMEs. They're building an amazing digital first product. And this is one of the integrations that work pretty well. It allows you to directly connect your Wio account, and then Wafeq will automatically fetch your statement and perform the reconciliation. So Wafeq's reconciliation works in two ways. The first one is you can set up rules. You define, for example, rules based on specific keywords. Like I know that, let's say, Wafeq subscription has the keyword wafeq.com. And so I can create a rule for that. So I can call it Wafeq subscription, and I can say if the description contains Wafeq, then I want to classify it to the account called software and tools. I can have a preview here of all the matching transactions, and then I can choose to apply this to all matching transactions, and then I can save the rule. Going forward, every time a new transaction shows up on the bank statement, it will be reconciled automatically by the reconciliation rule. This is pretty standard, but you'd be surprised, you know, a lot of companies still either are not setting up rules, are not aware of this, or they still are not doing, you know, statement uploading and statement based reconciliation.
And Nadim, does that, if it's not connected on VU, can we use by uploading a bank statement from any bank?
Yeah, so if you do not have a bank connection, we're adding more and more bank connections. It's taking a little bit of time, unfortunately. Open banking or open finance
Yeah.
gradually rolling out. It's outside our control. We need to just, you know, sit and wait for more banks to come online. But if you do not have a bank feed to fetch your statement automatically, you can import your statement. Our system will automatically, you can actually import your statement, the whole file as it is now directly from your bank. You don't need to put it in any template. Wafeq will automatically put it in the correct format. It will extract the correct information and will upload it. And then reconciliation runs automatically once it's uploaded.
Ah, okay.
And
That's
that's
actually interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
That solves more than the I remember the categorization in our internal team itself. Like every month they are trying to figure out the same categorization again and again.
Yep, exactly. And you know, you can expect Nupur, like, you know, with AI becoming I mean already, you know, since a couple of years ago, it's smart enough to do a lot of really complex tasks.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe before AI came out, ChatGPT, typically categorization was available. You can automatically categorize on description. But with AI very soon, so on Wafeq, you'll be able to see much smarter reconciliation. I'll give you an example. So sometimes you're trying to reconcile an amount that is slightly different because, let's say, the bank maybe took a little bit of exchange or took a fee, and you're getting only the net, for example, versus what you expect from an invoice. Uh, and AI will be able to figure this out, and we'll be able to
Mm.
say, you know, yeah, this is a payment for that invoice, and then the remainder, I know that it's a bank fee because that's what this bank typically charges based on all the transactions that I've seen. So an AI will be able to do a lot of these decisions, and then you as an accountant, you'll just end up, you know, spending more time reviewing financial statements, making recommendations with your client or with the CFO or with the CEO. than just doing data entry or categorization.
That would be amazing, I think, Nadim, if that can happen, because the whole issue of figuring out where did that 5 dirhams went or 1.2 dirhams went, it just takes more time than actually the amount of that value.
Yeah, definitely. And the second part, so you talked about AR, Nupur, on the AP side. So AR is part of the closing, right?
Yes.
The closing process. On the flip side, you have the AP, the accounts payable side. Also, there is more and more automation that we're expecting coming on the AP side. So first of all, in terms of just simply OCR, right? OCR is a very old technology, but now, again, with AI, it's getting a lot more accurate. One of the workflows that we've built recently is the ability for you to just drop 50 or 100 PDFs into Wafeq, and then the system will automatically extract all the information and will prepare the bills or the expenses, depending on how you upload them, for you to either complete, because the AI is not 100% accurate still, and we don't think it will ever be 100% accurate. You will still need a human to verify. And in any case, our users demand that they verify. They don't want things to be posted automatically. So the system will create them as ready for you to kind of have a look at. Either the system will identify all the fields, you just need to validate, or for example, the system identified some of the fields and then you need to complete the rest. And the advantage, the improvement here is that it's, like a lot of the accounting firms find themselves with a folder at the end of a month that has 100 receipts because the client did not send the invoices or the bills as they come in. They put them in a Google Drive, like you showed me on one of the workflows that one of your users built. So they get a Google Drive full of PDFs, and then they need to enter them one by one. That's exactly the workflow that it solves for. You just go and drag and drop a bunch of bills, and then everything happens in the background, ready for you to post. And then the next step is once you post it, you want to pay that bill, right? If it's due for payment. Also, one of the exciting automations that we want to see more banks make available. At the moment, it's available with WIO through Wafeq only. And the way it would work is, let's say you've prepared a bill that is already authorized. So if you have the payment permission enabled when you connected your WIO account to Wafeq, you will have a button that will say here, pay through bank. Okay. So when you click pay through bank, you will be able to pay through your connected WIO account. And here the system will automatically extract any IBANs it finds or the IBAN that it finds on the PDF. You can create the beneficiary. We have also a tool to autofill the IBAN. You specify, for example, we're going to bear the fees. Everything is ready. There's approval process here. I'm admin, so I have access to everything here. So once I click release, I will get the OTP from WIO. I'll enter the OTP, and then that bill is paid. Once it's paid, it will also reflect as paid in the system automatically. And then Wafeq will fetch the statement and will do the reconciliation also automatically. So you have the whole AP process from uploading the PDF all the way to reconciling the statement, the transaction that represents the payment for that bill. And you have the matching between the ledger transaction and the statement transaction.
Oh, that's amazing. Actually, that ends end-to-end automation happens on APA. I think
Yeah.
it's saving more than 20-25 hours for sure.
And you talked about e-invoicing before. On the e-invoicing, the way the UAE is implementing it, you will be able to receive invoices from your supplier also, right? When your supplier sends you an invoice, an e-invoice, Wafeq will support two-way, I would say two-way syncing. So you can not just send an invoice to your customer, an e-invoice to your customer, but you will also receive the e-invoice automatically as a bill. which means, OCR will not be relevant anymore except for, companies that are not part of the invoicing. It could be international companies or, which is a pretty good segment actually in the UAE. So you still need OCR for those that are not coming through the e-invoice network. But for all domestic transactions, whenever you get an invoice from a supplier, it will automatically show up in Wafeq as a draft, and you can reject it, you can approve it, and then continue with your flow of paying and reconciling. So a lot of automation is gonna come this year if Open Finance hopefully goes live with more and more banks, e-invoicing. So really, software will be able to automate so much of the kind of grunt work, and really the remainder is going to be essentially clients accounting firms um, doing more value-added services, doing CFO services, doing tax services, doing operational consulting, management consulting, and so on. So the data entry part will become largely automated. I wouldn't say fully automated. From our experience, accounting has lots and lots of edge cases. Context is everywhere. It's not always in the system. It's on a WhatsApp channel. It's in a phone call, So we don't think you'll be able to have full context, or the eventual AI will have full context over your entire business operations, but you'll be able to automate quite a lot of your accounting workflow, the day-to-day workflow.
Definitely, Nadim. I think you rightly mentioned that the context, and it is the context for every business also varies. So if the accounting firm is actually handling about 50, 100 clients, every business will have a different context of doing things, right? Whether it is AR or AP. The whole concept of creation of invoices, paying for vendors, everyone has a different cycle to actually do that as well. So I think keeping that at one place helps a lot. I think from the Wafik perspective, I think you are making sure that all are stitched together. So I think that helps from in terms of life for an accounting firm.
Yep, yep.
I
And
think on that note, go ahead.
yeah, I just want to highlight, the integration with Okta. If anyone is interested in trying it out, it's going to be available it is available under the integrations. You click Add Integration, and then you will see Okta. Go ahead and connect, and then the rest of the workflow or the setup happens on Okta. And as Nupur mentioned, once you're connected, any invoice you create in Wafeq will get synced to Okta, and then you can set up automation flows in Okta in terms of follow-up and so on.
Amazing. I think after this whole concept, I think viewers will definitely have some questions to take forward.
Yep.
Should we open the Q&A?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So there's a question. Is this recorded? Saber and Vishnu, are we going to share the recording, or is it recorded?
Yeah, it is recorded.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Assad, let me see how can we unmute allowed to talk? Yeah. I believe Assad, you can unmute now.
السلام عليكم أستاذ نديم،
عليكم السلام. أهلا
كيف
أهلا.
الحال؟ إن شاء الله بخير. الله يعطيكم العافية على الورشة الجميلة. بس
الله
حبيت أستفسر، هل في مجال اللي تكون مثل هيك ورشة باللغة العربية ولا عليك أمر؟ يعني لو تحدد في وقت لاحق يعني.
إن شاء الله بنعمل ورشة باللغة العربية. هلا الورشة الجاية بعد أنا ما عندي الأجندة، ما بعرف صابر أو I don't know Vishnu or Saber if you have anything to share about upcoming webinars in Arabic. Saber, we can take this into account and plan for something. I think it's a very good point, because in the UAE we only do in English. استاذ اسعد، بالسعوديه نحن بنعمل ورشات كثير بالعربي، لانه تعرف السعوديه بيحكوا اكثر شيء العربي اكثر من
أنا أيوة،
زملاء
لأن
كثير.
أنا مش محاسب صراحة، بس لكن أنا اللي شغال على تطبيق وافق يعني. ما عندنا محاسب يعني في الجمعية، فهيك.
اوكي اوكي. That's is I think we will take this into account. وشكرا استاذ اسعد على
إن شاء
الملاحظة.
الله. الله يسلمك.
No, I think it will be useful to do the Arabic one specifically. I think more towards, I think we always keep it that into account in the Saudi, but doing it in UAE also helps a lot. Yeah.
We have a question. So I believe this is a question on the Octa Wafeq partnership, if I understand correctly. So I believe the comment is, do you think that Wafeq and Octa are competing? I don't know if I understood the question correctly, but yeah, I mean, from my side, I mean, definitely not. We are an accounting software. Integrations, they always add value to our users, and they typically do things in a lot more specialized way. Okta is a specialized platform for AR. Nupur, I'll let you answer, complete the answer again.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Yasin, for the question. I think the idea over here is that, as Nadim rightly mentioned, Wafik is an accounting software, and our idea is to how we can specialize in giving that automation specifically on AR part of it. So, a lot of things, as I mentioned earlier, that there are nuances to the business which you can automate specifically on Okta. So, we will always be connected to Wafik to get the right data source coming in. But the specialized nuances is something on a vertical specific on AR is something we are helping our customers. So that's where the beauty comes in, that people who are looking for a specialized, fine-tuned ways of invoice generation, follow up, even reaching out to the customers in a very different way, and even creating reports which are very specific for their collection. We actually build around 52 plus reports using the AI agent report feature, which is good for some other webinar. But the whole idea is that if you have a nuances in your businesses specifically for AR, then I think the partnership of Wafik and Okta can help your clients. One question from Yasin. Could you please give some insights on the financing part of your offer? Definitely. So, one of the things which Okta also provides is invoice financing and receivable financing, where the idea for us is that we are helping you collect from your clients, but then there's always some scenarios where people are not paying you on time, even though you have put up best automation, best ways to reach out. In that, how can we actually help you have that cash flow, right? That's where we come in from financing. In the background, we are actually connected with 7 financing providers. On Okta, once you subscribe on the financing option, your data is analyzed by Okta Credit Engine, where we will, based on the past collections, past invoices, and the possibility of collecting, we provide you a financing offer within the range you are looking for with 30, 60, or 90 days credit terms. So we make sure that we connect with 7 financing providers, give you the right offer which fits for you. So that's how it, and that can be availed anytime during the month, during the quarter, whenever you feel there's a cash flow crunch coming in and there will be a delay, you can just opt for financing option. And the beauty is that you don't have to provide any data, any extra Excel sheets, anything. Everything is synced to it, so you can get the offer within 24 hours. Meanwhile, Nadeem, I think people are still thinking what to ask. I have a question for you. In past few years, when you are building Wafik, what is your favorite feature in Wafik, which you feel is like a lifesaver for you yourself?
I like our consolidated reports, actually. This is a unique feature that Typically you need to buy a third-party software and connect it to your accounting software to do consolidation. But in Wafeq, I specifically built it in the early days for myself because I had like a couple of entities set up and I needed it. So I think that's one of the nicest features that I like. The payments feature is fantastic. Also a unique feature, ability to pay your suppliers without leaving Wafeq.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for more banks to really, make it available. Yeah, these are the main ones, I would
That's
say.
interesting. Yeah, I think reports make sense totally, right? As a business, you want to see across entities. So that becomes a key thing to figure out.
Yeah, yeah. Same question for you on Octa, Nupur.
Himanshu, that's okay. That's a good one. For me, I think the best feature which I personally use is Agent Builder. So not just for external things. I think I have created the agents just for internal alerts or figuring out the processes. So two of the agents which I have built internally in Okta, one is on making sure when the contract is getting expired, before that 10 days before that I should get a reminder, and the customer who's supposed to actually sign the new contract actually get notified. So that is an internal agent builder I have built in Okta for contract expiry, because it just becomes a mess if you decide after contracts is expired and then start reaching out to your clients. That is one thing. And second, which I have done from my agent perspective, is getting that monthly reports, Nadim, which you rightly mentioned. I take few reports, I think majorly two reports, which is coming from Wafik, and one report on collection which is coming from Okta, and dedicatedly it comes every Friday in my email inbox is what I have built the agent, so that I don't miss out checking on those things. So every Friday at 5 p.m. when I'm rounding, finishing my week, I get to look at that so that I can plan for the next week if there's something missing out. So those two, I think, but commonly used is the agent builder for me.
I saw you have a call step, like a call follow-up. Is that an AI agent or is it
Yeah, it's an AI agent. So actually, AI agent can do the conversation with the client. Actually, in the interest of time, I can, and because Asad mentioned, I can run an Arabic call for our viewers to actually listen, if that helps. Let me figure out. Let me try the English one.
Hello, John
Let me
Smith.
know, Nadim, if you can hear it.
You have an
Yeah.
outstanding balance of 7,000 dirham for 2 invoices. When can we expect payment?
Hi, Mia. I'm looking at a delay in the payment because the funds haven't cleared. So let's say in another 2 weeks, I'll be able to make the payment.
If you're expecting to make the payment in about 2 weeks, that would put us around Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. Would that be the date you're aiming to process the payment?
Yes, within that timeline, I should be able to pay.
I appreciate your commitment. Since March 19th falls within our desired timeline, I will make note of this. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss regarding the outstanding invoices?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
So this is one of the examples of our English call.
السلام عليكم، معك نورمان، كيف حالك؟
أنا بخير، اللي معي؟
هلا، معك نور من قسم الحسابات فيه. اتصل بك بخصوص رصيد معلق بقيمة 1000 ريال. هل أتكلم مع جويل من شركة آلفا؟
نعم صحيح.
حاضر. تمام، يعطيك العافية. اتصل بخصوص رصيد معلق بقيمة 1000 ريال، بس ما عندي رقم الفاتورة معي الحين. هل تقدر تساعدني بالتفاصيل؟
بصراحة أي فاتورة، ما عندي فكرة.
طيب، أكيد وصلتك تذكيرات الفواتير المعلقة. تبي أرسل لك التذكير مرة ثانية على الإيميل أو الواتساب؟
نعم ممكن.
طيب، تمام. أيهم تفضل، الإيميل ولا الواتساب؟
ممكن خلال الواتساب.
حاضر، خليني أرسل لك التذكير على الواتساب. ممكن تعطيني جدول زمني تقريبي لموعد دفع المبلغ المستحق؟
بصراحة ما عندي فكرة، إذا ممكن ترسلي إياه على الواتساب بعدين بقدر شارك معك الوقت الزمني.
حاضر، تمام، ولا يهمك. راح أرسل لك التذكير على الواتساب وأنت بلغني أول ما تجهز الخطة. شكرا لوقتك اليوم. مع السلامة.
شكرا.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
So this
Yeah,
was the Arabic one.
what's noteworthy is that it can identify, it can understand different dialects in Arabic, right? So that's really impressive.
Yeah, I think that was one of the key things, because otherwise it puts the conversation off if you're not able to get that dialect. So that was one of the key things we actually worked towards.
Amazing. All right, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you so much, Nupur. Pleasure having this webinar with you. Thank you everyone for participating, and have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone. It was lovely having the conversation with you, Nadim. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.